welcome again to Vaughan Television. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's class, we're going to look at a very, very important topic. There is and there are. Of course, that's I in Spanish. And we're going to look at different examples and different uses of there is and there are. Today, we also have a special guest, a special student with us. We have Ruben. Ruben, how are you?
Oh, not bad.
Okay, great.
I'm fine.
Okay, very good. And how was your weekend? Did you have a nice weekend?
Oh, it was very short.
Yes, like all of them. Okay, did you do anything special? Did you go anywhere? Or?
Not too much. I was sleeping a lot.
Okay,
That's
I
very
slept.
good.
Repeat. I slept a lot. Good.
I was traveling at different places.
Okay, so I traveled to different places. Okay, very good. Now, did you notice that Ruben wanted to use past continuous? I was traveling, I was sleeping a lot. But remember, when we talk about last weekend, everything happened. So, lo que pasó, pasó. So we really want to use simple past. So tell me again what you did. So instead of saying I was sleeping a lot or I was traveling a lot, use simple past.
I traveled
to
Avila.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful city.
Yeah, and I visited
very good.
the walls.
Nice, okay. And was it your first time going to Avila, or was it your second time or your 10th time?
No, it was my third time.
Very nice, yeah. It's a very beautiful city, Avila. All right, well, are you ready for today's class?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, very good. Well, as I mentioned before, we're going to look at there is and there are. And again, those are I in Spanish, so it's simple present. Let's first look at there is, which is for singular nouns. So when we use I, we have it there is plus a singular noun. For example, there's a watch on the table. Okay, there's a cup of water on the table. There's a pen on the table. Again, I, un boli, un vaso de agua. I, un reloj. Okay, so Ruben, could you continue and follow the...
There is a mobile
on
the table.
All right, now use the contraction. Instead of saying there is, try to use the contraction, there's, which is more natural.
Okay, there's a mobile on the table. There's a ring on the table.
Okay, great, a ring.
There's a coin on the table.
Okay, very good. Okay, what kind of coin? What?
It's a 50 cents coin.
Okay, repeat, a 50
cents coin.
Okay, cent without the S. A 50-cent coin.
50-cent coin.
Perfect, very good. Okay, so what else is on the table? What else do you see?
There is a notebook on the table.
Very good, great.
And there is a book on the table.
Okay, what color is the book? What color is the book?
It's a white book.
Okay, so it's white. Very good.
And there is a pencil.
Okay,
on the table.
Oh, yes, and what color is the pencil?
It's a red pencil.
Very good. Okay.
And there is a black pen on the table too.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Now, let's look at the negative. So we saw the affirmative, which is there is, using the contraction there's. What about the negative? How would we create the negative form of no I?
There isn't...
Very good. Now, if I say there isn't a computer on the table, there isn't a radio on the table. More examples. Continue.
There isn't a television on the table. And there isn't a car on the table.
Right. There's not enough room. Okay, good.
Or there isn't a keyboard on the table.
All right, fantastic. Now, let's look at the interrogative form. How do we create the interrogative form? I, when we say I, un boli en la mesa,
so
I
is there
good.
Plus noun.
Very good. So can you give me an example?
Is there a mobile on the table?
Very good. Now, mobile, this is interesting. In the UK or in the rest of English-speaking countries, we call this a mobile. But in the United States, in America, we call this a... Do you know what it is? cell phone.
Ah, cell phone.
Yes, we call this a cellular phone, and for short we say cell phone. So it's much more common to call this a cell phone, at least in the United States. All right? So again, ask me if there's a computer on the table.
Is there a computer in the table?
Repeat?
Is there a computer on the table?
Yes,
Sorry.
on the table. So on, la superficie de, so on the table, not in. So ask me again.
Is there a computer on the table?
Good. No, there isn't a computer on the table. Ask me if there's a printer on the table.
Is there a printer on the table?
No, there isn't a printer on the table. Ask me if there's a dog on the table.
Is there a dog on the table?
No, there isn't a dog on the table. All right, very good. Now, notice all of these objects that we have on the table were countable. So what exactly is a countable noun as opposed to an uncountable noun? For example, a watch, a ring. When we have countable nouns, it really means that we can count literally a book, 5 books, 100 books, a watch, 5 watches. But uncountable nouns means we can't count them. For example, water. We can't say 3 waters or 3 inks in a pen, tintas, or 3 monies, and those are uncountable nouns. So let's look at using there is plus uncountable nouns. For example, if I say, hay agua en el vaso. Hay agua en el vaso. How would we translate that?
Is there any water?
Oh, affirmative. Can you give me the affirmative? Hay agua en el vaso.
There is a...
Contraction?
There's water in the glass.
Okay, good. Now, we want to use some when we have affirmative for uncountable. So there's some water in the glass. Repeat.
Yes. There's some water in the glass.
Very good. Now, for negative and interrogative, we want to use any. So, there isn't, imagine if this were empty, we would say there isn't any water in the glass. And in the interrogative, is there any water in the glass? All right. So again, remember, when we have uncountables, for affirmative, we want to use some, and for negative and interrogative, use any. For example, is there any ink in this pen?
Yes, there is.
Good. Now give me a longer answer.
Yes, there is.
Contraction.
Yes, there's ink in the...
Some.
Yes, there is
There's
ink.
some
There's
ink.
some ink in the pen.
Very good. Okay, now, imagine if the pen were empty. So if I said, is there any ink in this pen?
No, there isn't any ink in the pen.
Very good. Now let's move on to plurals. So we have there are. Now when we talk about plurals, we're talking about nouns because uncountables cannot be plural. Let me repeat. Uncountables are only singular. That means we use there are for plural countables. For example, there are 2 cups of water on the table. All right. There are 2 pieces of paper, okay, on the table. All right. So when we have the plural form, we want to use there are. And again, when we have affirmative, we use some. And for negative and interrogative, use any, just like with the singular there is. All right. For example, if I say, are there any books on the table? Are there any books on the table?
Yes, there are some books on the table.
Good. Okay. Now, are there any children in this room?
No, there aren't any children in this room.
Okay. Okay. Ask me if there are any people in the office.
Are there any people in this office?
Okay, very good. So, again, when we have the affirmative, we want to use some for both singular and plural. Right? And for negative and interrogative, we want to use any. Now, again, there's a pen in my hand. There isn't a pen in my hand. Is there a pen in my hand? There are 5 books on the table. There aren't any books on the table. Are there any books on the table? Okay. So, well, thank you so much for joining us today, Ruben. I hope you enjoyed our class.
Yes, I did.
On There Is and There Are. We hope you'll join us again. And you're watching Vaughan Television. Thank you. Bye-bye.